Morning, everybody. Taking my one of many daily walks. Orders from the doctor, the surgeon. So we'll walk around out here and see what all we can see. Maybe go pay a visit to the cows over here. I remember when I was a kid, the gentleman that owns these cows here, he was a friend of our father's, me and my brothers and sister. And he used to let us go out in his land when we were kids. We'd take our couple canned goods and a can opener and pocket knives and BB guns, and we would hang out in these woods all out here all day long. We weren't 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And growing up like that, staying in the woods all day long every day, we learned a lot of common sense. Our kids weren't on these devices like this one I'm on now. Hey girl. Hey girl. Good morning. But yeah, we learned a lot of common sense. Hunting and fishing and camping and just exploring the woods every day. My kids call her Goldie. She's the only one that color out here. The rest of them are black, or black with a little bit of white on them. But we learned a lot of common sense. You know, I got my first knife from my dad at about 6 or 7 years old. I think I got my first BB gun when I was only 4 or 5 years old, a little Red Ryder Daisy. Graduated up from there through over the years and stuff. But me and my brothers were always out in the woods and our friends. Sometimes we would go wading in this lake, local lake that's connected to the St. Johns River. Ooh, nice deer tracks. Little one, it's a young one. Little fawns or something. But anyhow, we would go wading about chest deep in water that was as black as coffee for largemouth bass down here in Florida. And there would be gators everywhere, big ones, little ones. And they never messed with us. We never had an issue with them. Sometimes if we were in one of our friends' little boats or something, we would catch a 3 or 4 foot gator with a fishing pole. We'd snag him with a big old treble hook and get it up to the boat. And I remember we caught one. He was probably 3 foot. I had rode my dirt bike. I had an old Yamaha YZ 400, 1978. I remember that thing like it was yesterday. And we got that little gator to shore. And we used electric tape for his mouth, hold his mouth shut. And I rode him home probably, it was a good 5 or 6 miles. I took him home on my dirt bike, laying across my lap. Made a little pen for him, put him a little miniature pond in it. I didn't have him for very long, and he ended up biting me. Let me interrupt this little quick talk and show y'all my brother and my buddy's little deer stand in here. Looks like something knocked over one of their feeders. Nice little deer stand right there. Stay out of the weather. Put you one of them little Mr. Buddy propane heaters in it and stay warm when it's cold. Pretty cool little setup. I'd stand that up right now for them. Stand it back up, but I ain't supposed to lift nothing. Not till after December. It's really killing me not being able to go to work. Anyhow, back to the gator. Came home from school one day and was fooling around with him, and he got a hold of my hand pretty good. I snatched back just in time instinctively, but if my reflexes wouldn't have been so quick as a teenager, he would have probably done a lot of damage to my hand. But I learned. We learned a lot of common sense. By the time I was 7, my next younger brother, his name's Keach, was about 5.5, 6 years old, and our brother Nate was about 3 years old. We had a few ponds around the house because it had been an old Indian burial site, and Smithsonian Institute had excavated it and left these big ponds. They were all connected by underground culvert pipes, and the real big one, the first big pond, had a 6-inch artesian well flowing into it with a big valve, and me and my brothers would go turn it on. But we had cane poles. We couldn't afford rod and reels. We grew up pretty poor, and we caught more fish with them cane poles than anybody I've ever seen with a rod and reel. But our little brother, the youngest one at the time, Nate, he was probably, like I said, about 3.5, 4 years old at the oldest. We all ran around. If we weren't in school, we were in our whitey-tighty Fruit of the Loom underwear, like a bunch of wild Indians. He would run around the edge of the ponds and would literally kick minnows out of the water. And he'd put them in a old metal chock full of nuts coffee can with a little bit of water in it. And he would bring them to my brother Keach, the next one younger than me. I'm the oldest. And Keach had 2 cane poles. He had one with a little hook and one with a big hook. And he would put one of them little minnows on the one with the little hook. He'd run a hook right through the minnow, and he'd drop it down. We had a little dock on the biggest pond. And literally, I mean, high numbers of little shell crackers and bluegill, and we call them brim, would come immediately to it. No bobbers, just a little lead weight and a hook and a minnow. And he'd catch a little brim. Well, then he would take that little brim and take it off the hook, pull the hook out its lip, and he would hook it with the other cane pole. Had a big hook on it. He would hook it under the dorsal fin, same exact spot where he caught the little brim off the dock. He would drop it down in the water, probably 2-3 foot deep. It was crystal clear because of that artesian flowing well that flew into it, kept it cleaned out. And 4, 5, 6, 7, sometimes 10 or 12 bass would come up to that little brim and just circle around it, staring at it. And he would move his cane pole to get he would move the little brim on the hook closer to the biggest one, and he'd catch them. He'd get it up on the dock or on shore. And then me at 7, I had my own butcher knife at the time, and a pocket knife, and a little hunting style knife that my dad actually made for me. He made it out of an old file, and he made a handle and put it on it for me. That thing would hold an edge forever. But anyhow, I would scale it and dehead it and gut it out, and I'd wrap it up and put it in our freezer. We ate so much fish that, I mean, we ate fish 3 or 4 days a week. We kept Mom and Dad's freezer full of fish. And these kids nowadays, man, I don't get it. They just would rather look at one of these phones or their tablet or a laptop or whatever their parents buy them to keep them out of their hair, so they don't have to deal with the kids. And I just don't understand it. You know, our dad, he would take us out in the woods all the time, whether it was just riding around in a truck or fishing, camping. Dad wasn't much into hunting, but me and my brothers were when we were kids. I still am. But we learned so much from growing up like that and being out in the woods. And I mean, you just learn a lot of common sense. You know, if you're running through the woods with your siblings, playing tag or playing cowboys and Indians, whatever, barefooted, we never had shoes on, and you stump your toe and tear the hide off the end of your toe on a tree root, after it's tripped you up and you fall down, smack your face on a tree limb on the way down or something like that, you instinctively learn, I better watch out what the heck I'm doing or I'm gonna get hurt. Interrupt this real quick and show you guys something. It's a friend of my brother's has got him a little beehive set up out here. He ain't got it going yet, but it's getting there. It's gonna be pretty cool when he starts getting some honey. But anyhow, we learned, and it got to where me and my brothers would run wide open to get to a certain area in the woods. Sometimes it was a half a mile away. And we would run wide open through stuff like this, barefooted with nothing but our underwear or a pair of shorts on in the summertime. We never got snake bit. We never got eaten by a black bear. We never got attacked by a rabid animal. And I couldn't tell you how many thousands of hours we spent in the woods as kids just running wild. But we learned so much. We learned about, thanks to our dad and our uncles, we learned so much about living off the land, what plants you could eat down here out of the wild that were super, super good for you. There's one right there. This right here. It's not looking good right now because it's summertime's over, it's starting to cool off, but that's called pokeweed. We called it poke salad. And you get the fresh leaves, fresh young leaves off of the plants, and you cook them down. You pour after you cook them for a while, let them simmer, you pour off all of the broth or juice, whatever you want to call it. Put hot water back in it, you salt, pepper, garlic powder, maybe some fat back, some salt pork, some bacon. Cook it a little bit more. You have to pour off the first batch because it is or can be poisonous to you. But once you cook it and pour it off, add more water, add your seasoning and some fat back or smoked pork neck, whatever, to make it taste good or even better than it already would. And it is delicious. It's similar to spinach. Very good for you. But we learned so much. Swamp cabbage, blackberries, huckleberries, wild blueberries. You can make flour out of acorns. The heart of the acorns. You have to roast them first, or they'll be super bitter. After you soak them, you gotta soak them in water for a few days, and then you gotta roast them. Change out the water during them days you're soaking them. And you can make bread out of it, make a flour, grind them down, and you can make a bread out of it. There's just so many things. You know, me and my brothers could light a fire by the time we were 8, 9 years old in the middle of a hurricane, storm and rain. And we could light a fire with minimal materials. These kids today, they can't pick their nose and chew bubble gum at the same time. I don't get it. I just don't get it. It's the parents' fault, of course, and technology and society. It's really changed over the years since back then. But anyhow, finishing up with my walk, guys. I just wanted to talk to y'all while I was walking like the doctor wants me to, and I guess I'm going to head back to the house now. Hogs are fed and watered, and rest my back a little bit. I can't wait to get back to work. I'm going stir crazy. I'm used to getting up at 3:30 in the morning, driving an hour to work, working all day, bringing home a nice paycheck at the end of the week for the family and doing things. But been out of that since June with my back, and surgery was September 25th, so I won't be able to get back to it until my next doctor appointment's on December 3rd. And that's for them to tell me if I can go back to work or not, or if I got to start physical therapy or whatever. But I am going stir crazy. I can't stand it. But the good Lord's still looking out. My hogs are taken care of. My kids are still being fed, even though I've got to go out sometimes with my back hurting and get some wild illegal meat or what have you. Get some, or my brother will give me some meat. He's got off his land. But good Lord's looking out. We get what we need. Don't get what we want, but we get what we need, and that's all you need. So anyhow, you guys have a beautiful day, and God bless.